Well, how's it going, guys? John, the basic expert here, and for this week's video, I thought I would do something that I've been meaning to do for a while, and, this might be a tad bit biased, because I worked on this project as an artist, and Victor Gorchev, I think, worked on this one, Volume 1, and as well in Volume 2, which I'll do a video of at some point, of the writing in it as well. So, and I'm good friends with Rob from Pulp, Hummock Press, who did this book. Now, this is the nice version. There is a print-on-demand version that you can get on DTRPG in both hardcover and softcover. This is the nice offset print. As you can see, you get a nice ribbon here. The camera focus there for a second. There you go. I didn't write any of this. I did a lot of artwork for this and Volume 2 and the upcoming Volume 3, which successfully funded on Kickstarter. And I thought I would finally get around to talking about it. It's been a while, and Rob, who owns and wrote most of this, is the creator behind this. I'm good friends with. I appreciate him a lot. One of the best people I've ever worked with in this hobby as far as for art and art needs. He's super easygoing and kind of gave me a lot of creative freedom. And we'll get to that in a minute here. It's kind of, I give you some maybe behind the scenes choices or how things came to be in this book, because Rob is just so kind and easy to work with, and he trusts his artists. So this is I'll first go over the quality of the book for this offset print version. I rather like it. It's really nice. I like again, Smithsonian. I feel like if you're going to make a premium product, it's got to, like this, it's got to be Smithsonian. And I love the added bookmark in this, and I think that you kind of need a bookmark in a product like this, especially for such a big adventure like this. So having bookmarks and whatnot, I think is quite nice. The interior, as you can see, it's black and white. Oh, and I should say this is for use with old school essentials. So this is essentially a BX mega adventure. So the story behind this is that it was going to be just a mega dungeon, right? Rob is a big fan of Greg Gillespie's work and whatnot, and other work like that. And so he was going to do a mega dungeon of his own for old school essentials. And he just kept writing and writing and writing, and it just grew and grew and grew. And, it went from the mega dungeon that he originally intended to a whole wilderness adventure, which is what a lot of this book is, and smaller dungeons around that wilderness, and then an underworld as well, which I think is detailed in book 3, which gives you a whole sort of underworld, essentially what you would equate to that Underdark in D&D. So the amount of content that you're going to have across these 3 books is just massive, just absolutely massive. So it's quite cool. I also appreciate Rob. He's not, this might annoy some people. I know it probably annoys people when they come to my channel, but he doesn't really hide his faith either. There's a lot of little nods to this that are in this book within his work that I think is kind of very Christian, which I appreciate. And but it's not cheesy, it's not it's super cheesy Christianity or something like that. You're not buying some kind of Kirk Cameron product here or something like that. No offense to Kirk Cameron, but you know what I mean? It's not this cheesy knockoff thing. It's legitimately creative, legitimately interesting, legitimately tackles interesting concepts of good, evil, and those sorts of things in a heroic, interesting way. And I say that because, in the dedication, he dedicates it to the Panagia. I know Rob is Catholic. I'm Orthodox. But if you know what the term Panagia is, it's the term All Holy, often given to the Theotokos or the Virgin Mary. So I appreciate that kind of stuff, seeing that kind of stuff in here. Here's a map of the adventuring area, and we can see the table of contents here. You get a lot of stuff. This is the adventuring area. There's a hex map that if you get the digital, you get a lot of the digital files with this, you get hex maps for these sorts of things that you can plug into your VTT and run those, use it as an adventuring map and whatnot, which is really, really great. He has a whole hex map. I want to talk about the art a little bit, and I really love. I mean, I'm proud of the pieces that I did in this, but other artists were in here, Ian Bagley and a few others who he did like this one here, at least more like pencily, charcoaly images, and they're real. It's just really well done. The layout is clean. I really appreciate the layout and the look. It doesn't look exactly like an OSC book. Obviously, it's not even the same size as like your OSC books. It can't. This is like too massive of a project for it to be that. But nice, clean layout, and the art looks great in the black and white. Very old school feel. Got a Carlos Castile image here. If you're familiar with OSR and old school stuff, you've seen Carlos's work everywhere. It's a great artist. Has a really cool old school style. So you got a lot of GM tools, get explanations of stuff, a breakdown of what each chapter is, how to run the game, and I like that he gives you a breakdown. You'll see this at the end of every adventure. You often will get a breakdown of the total amount of monster XP and the total amount of treasure that is earned in that adventure. Very useful for sort of, as an adventure writer, running it, and you're going to run this for other people, for being able to sort of plan out your adventure, know how much experience points players are going to get, especially if it's going to be divvied up between various players, right? Various characters. You get a campaign summary. You get a brief history here that kind of talks about this and the lore and history of it. Essentially, what it is there's this giant worm named Volthoom. He's called the End Worm, and he has like this massive head, and he's going around just like consuming everything. And the Panagia and the god, the Trisagion, which is like essentially the Trinity. If you know what the word Trisagion is, it's actually a prayer within Orthodoxy, at least, of to the Holy Trinity. He has his own sort of Christian analog religion in this. Obviously, he just uses the word Panagia, which is again a term for the Virgin Mary. What is interesting, I find, is that like the worm is conquered, and just to show some of that, he doesn't hide his faith in a lot of this. The worm's head is crushed by a holy champion, and if you're familiar with the Bible, one of the prophecies that went after Adam and Eve were expelled from the Garden of Eden is that someone that one of Eve's ancestors, one of her daughters, essentially Mary, would bear a son and would crush the head of the serpent, which is death and Satan, the devil. That is sort of played out. He sort of riffs on that here with his mythology of his world creation and whatnot. And players are essentially come to this sort of northern land. Let's go back to the map. They're sort of called to this northern land because there was this skull god, Balor, who came to this area and conquered the native peoples here and made them his slaves, and essentially was looking for this cube that the head of Volthoom is in. And he has disappeared. I'm not going to spoil everything for you. Go get the book. I'm not going to spoil everything for you, but Balor has disappeared, and the people think he's dead, especially of this region. The Hadean Empire, which is like the Roman Empire of the time, or whatever, has come, and they collapsed. So that they conquered, they fought some of his undead. They back home, their empire collapsed. So this sort of became an independent kingdom, and they've sort of been trying to rebuild and have this sort of old world culture of the empire around them. And they've put a call out to adventurers because Balor's castle is still there, and so they're sort of hoping that adventurers will come and they can get taxes from the treasure that's found in the castle that Balor was residing in, and that maybe the problems of monsters and things like that could be solved by these adventurers, because they just don't have the manpower to go and conquer these sorts of things themselves. So why not put out a call to adventurers that, as we see here, a call to adventurers. Why don't we put out a call to adventurers that, hey, there's this place, there's lots of gold, lots of wealth, And by and large, it seems like, the goal is that everybody wins. The players, the characters win as adventurers. They get some gold, they get some glory, they get taxes, and the problem of monsters and these minions of Baelor that are sort of lurking in these dark, shadowy places is dealt with as well. So that's sort of the setup for it. You do get, so you have that quick overview, and then you do get like way more, like a timeline, events, and you get way more lore. Like you get, if you want to read this and have like everything about this world sort of in mind and understood, you can totally read all this. And Rob's a good writer, I think. I think he does a good job of like writing about his world here in a really neat and cool way. Let's get over to, and again, the art is really, I really love a lot of the other art. Like again, all the other artists here did like awesome stuff here. Like I love this piece. It's super rad. This piece is good too. Everything is, there's no bad piece of art in here. I really love it. It has such an old school feel, and I'm not, there's artists that are like way better than me that have content in here. So there's a piece I did. I was pretty proud of this one. Rob really liked it. So let's talk about Baelor, because this is funny, and this just goes to show about how easy to work with Rob is over at Pulp Hummock. So I was tasked with drawing Baelor when he first conquered the native peoples of the area. I never pronounced their name properly. The Inoruk people. They're like a sort of Inuit style mix of a lot of different cultures of people that lived on this island, and he sort of conquers them very easily. And so I was tasked with doing that, and he gave me some reference, and I misunderstood the reference. I thought Baelor was already designed, but it was like just a random monster that someone else, I think Ian Bagley, had drawn. And it was this dude here, this style of dude here with like let's see if I can bring it up here, with like a skull, because he's the skull god. So I was like, oh, he has like a skull face or a mask, or he is a skeleton. He's this undead dude. I don't know. Yeah, and so I drew him like this, and I was like, here you go, Rob. And Rob's like, hey, I think what did he say? I think he said like I didn't really have him planned out how he would look, but I liked what you just sort of decided here. It was all based on like miscommunication, and so this guy sort of became like, I sort of unintentionally designed how Baelor would look outside of Rob, and so he just became the reference for everyone else. And like Ian Bagley again, like did this killer piece here of Baelor. So yeah, it's just funny how like the creative process when you're working on a team with this kind of stuff. With a team of people, with other minds involved, and how I think Rob is just, he does a really good job of working with other people, and sort of, if you have a really neat idea, I really appreciate this about Rob. If you have a really neat idea, he's not opposed to using it, especially he might have had something in mind, but he's willing to, if he thinks what you came up with is like way better, he'll go with it. And, I don't know. I appreciate working with someone like that. There's another piece that I did. My art's like all throughout this thing. It's really cool to see. Another one of my illustrations here of the village. Oh, there we go. There we go. We're out of focus here. Another one here. I had fun with this illustration here of them fighting a mammoth. So you get like cultures and religion of like every culture that's here, every place that's here, and which is neat, always helpful. Here we go, with more not hiding the faith, which I appreciate. So he has like his thrice holy one here, the Trisagion. The Trisagion is the object of life, the ultimate purpose. He is a perfect incarnate. He is perfection incarnate. Perfect truth, perfect goodness, and perfect beauty, perfect justice, perfect unity, perfect belonging, and perfect love. It's essentially the Christian God, and he kind of goes through it. I like this divine mystery. Says the referee should avoid playing the Trisagion or having him appear in to the heroes. Instead, Kalem or other lawful enchanted creatures should serve as divine messengers. Besides, anyone seeing the Trisagion in an imperfect mortal body would instantly perish. You can't stand the presence of God. And I also appreciate his... I've been talking about this, right, with alignment and things like that, and morality within games. And Gods of the Forbidden North has it here. He has the problem of evil in Magus Terra, which is his world that this takes place in, but you can drop this in anywhere. Evil or chaos. So again, this is the OD&D style terminology here, where chaos is evil, law is good, neutral's in the middle. Chaos is not a thing created, but a cosmic disordering and absence of good. So it's the privation of good. It is what a character experiences in the world when things are not as intended, or when people act contrary to their nature. Such things and people are truly chaotic. Good, or law, on the other hand, is what happens when things act lawfully as they were originally designed. And if there is design and an underlying cosmic order, that implies a grand designer, the Trisagion. But some Hadean scholars have wondered why the Trisagion does not block all evil actions or events. After all, if he's all-powerful and all-knowing, shouldn't he just prevent it? And if that's true, then who needs brave heroes? The lawful clerics respond to this problem by saying that the Trisagion gave all his creatures free will. They choose good or evil, and so any evil is their own doing. The creator tolerates evil because he permits the consequences of his creatures' choices. For if he blocks their evil actions, then they no longer have free will, becoming little more than programmed golems, which was never his intent. And it goes on, you know. So you got this sort of help. It kind of helps you, in my opinion, from at least this religion's perspective, understand law and chaos and what that is. And this is how I run a lot of the religions, like the main religions. I have a Christian analog in my own home setting as well, just because I just think that it just works out better that way. So you have lots of information on these worlds and on these settings. I want to get to the first adventure. So this is all just still lore and background information. These are two pieces that I did here. Two illustrations. I like this one too. This is I love this artist style. I've got to figure out, I've got to double check who it was, but he has such an awesome sort of pen style, like a brush pen style. I just love the way that he does stuff. It's what I strive to do with my style, and I'm just not as good at it. I should look at his work and see how he does it. Another piece I did, I was pretty happy with this one. This is a fun character. I won't spoil it, but it's a fun character. I want to get to... Yeah, here. So, Voyage of Heroes. This is where it gets interesting, and you either like this part or you hate it. You can obviously ignore this, so I don't see why people would get too upset with this. But here we have sort of an intro where he kind of does like Skyrim.
Hey, you're finally awake.
Kind of like Skyrim, or kind of like the Elder Scrolls games, where you sort of make your character as you're playing, right? So as you're playing like Elder Scrolls Oblivion or Elder Scrolls Skyrim, you sort of make these choices at the beginning of the game that choose your race, your class, your special abilities, and what you're kind of good at, what you're not good at, right? And it's sort of all organically done through play, you know. I think I've done it so many times in Skyrim or Oblivion or even Morrowind that I'm just sort of like, it's so obvious to me now. But I remember thinking it was pretty cool at the time, and Rob sort of tried to do something similar here at the table, where character creation is sort of integrated into the beginning of the adventure, which I think is a neat idea. So he tells you like steps 1 to 2 in your OSC books. It says prompt your players to complete steps 1 to 2 of the Creating a Character Advanced Method section of Old School Essentials Advanced Fantasy Players Tome by Necrotic Gnome. They should complete this process together as a group. So roll ability scores and choose a race. So he kind of goes through this whole process of steps that kind of align with the OSC books. And there's like story and stuff that's happening that you're telling the players as they're going. And so you either like that or you hate it, but you can of course ignore that if you want. And then you're jumped right into like actual adventuring aspects of the starting adventure, the starting world. They land, they're on a boat, they land in this new land, and they sort of are given the ability to go free reign. And I should also note that he says in the book that you can do this as either a sandbox game, which I would recommend, and this is what he says the game is originally, or the book is originally designed to be play as, or you can do it as an adventure path. And he has sort of, I think he gives you suggestions for either how to do either of those things. So I want to get to the end of the thing here, and because I think this is again a neat feature that I appreciate about all of these Gods of the Forbidden North books. So you get how much monster XP is gained in here from like what creatures you get them, and then you have the treasure that could be found in that starting adventure total. So you got like 260 XP from monsters, and you have 1,289 gold pieces and 9 silver pieces that could be found in this adventure. And I think that I like this because it's easy to look and reference this, because then you're like, oh, is there treasure? Yeah, you can look at the section and go back into that section of the adventure and sort of find that, or it's sort of easily calculated, right? And you kind of know when players come back or maybe do something if they could get more, what they miss. I like it laid out like this. It gives you a better idea of like how players are going to progress too. So chapter 5, Land of the Twilight, of the Long Twilight. And this is the wilderness stuff that he kind of goes into. He gives you climate effects and weather stuff that you can use, weather tools. I think this would be really cool for any sort of adventure, but it's obviously, because it's a northern land, it's more geared towards like a colder environment, but still really neat. I think you could extrapolate your own tables from this if you wanted to. Gives you some tips on crossing the wilderness, random encounters. Some of them are pretty brutal. This is old school, so expect TPKs. Totally possible to have some TPKs happen here. Some more of my art here. But so he gives you all this, and here's the hex map that I was talking about, which I really like. I think it's well done. I think he made it in Worldographer, but it looks really good to me. I love Worldographer as a hex mapping software. It's one of my favorites. Some more of my art right here. Some heroes crossing a rickety bridge and then falling. Some more Carlos work. This is one of my pieces too. But you got like monster stat blocks here as you need them. And I think he gives you, again, let's see. You got your dungeon maps, of course. This book is just so massive. Let's look at like chapter 6, Morcall's Tombs. So you got lots of like wilderness locations, and then you have like these specific other dungeons that you can check out in the wilderness that they're not chump change themselves. So let's go to page 243. That's what I'm trying to get to. I was almost there. Let's see. Once again, you got your for the wilderness section. You can see like exactly how much is out there in the wilderness for people to fight and get to. 220, 9,020 XP, 452,853 gold pieces, 2 silver pieces, 5 copper pieces. So there's a lot of XP to be had. Like, that's enough. The whole point of this book is to get your characters from levels 1 to 5. If you do a bunch of the stuff within this book, and then you have like a list of magic items as well, and what hex they appear in, which I think is super helpful, super neat. Let's look at Morcall's Tomb. You get some backstory on it. I love the dungeon map style within this adventure. I don't remember who his map artist was. He told me. Sorry, Rob, sorry to the artist, but really cool style. I really dig it. So you get your map, and then you get information on each section within there, which is obviously nice. I think it's just a well organized adventure. Like I don't think I'd have a problem running this. And then you get to the conclusion, and then you have multiple little other areas just like this. The bog ruins of Fort Eichenvar. So lots of stuff like this, and then at the end, which is nice, he gives you lots of stuff. Glossary of names. Glossary of names. I think he gives you a decent index too. Yeah. You get a decent index as well, which I appreciate. I like indexes. They suck to make. I've had to make indexes for my stuff. I dread it, but like he has one of the better sort of indexes I've seen. It's very small font, but it looks like it covers a lot, which is awesome. And then you got your supporter section at the end from that first Kickstarter, and information about artists and authors, everyone that kind of helped in here. It's funny, Chris Cockgrove is my editor for Whitebox, so I know Whitebox is in good hands here. I think I'm in here somewhere. I don't remember where I'm at. Oh, here I am. Over here, and it gives you like it's neat because he gives you like if you want to know if you like a certain piece, you can figure out who that artist is. I'm not going to do it on screen here for that one artist I want. I'll do it later. But Glenn Seal, that's who I think he got. How do I not remember? Glenn is a big time. He's really good at cartography. I think he's the one that he did the layout, so he didn't do the maps. But he got Glenn Seal on this project, so that's awesome. Note section, and I think the final thing that I think is cool, we got another map here of the whole world, which is neat. Here, you get a character sheet for compatible with old school essentials, which is really, really cool. I think it's a well designed character sheet. It's not too there's a lot of information on here, but it's not too terrible. As far as layout is concerned, I like everything fitting on one page personally, even if it's a little cluttered, because it just makes referencing it a lot easier than flipping through pages, which is always annoying. And I think that's all I'll cover for this. Whoops. I think that's all I'll cover for this book, for this volume 1. I highly recommend you check it out. We'll do another video at some... There we go, camera. We'll do another video at some point covering volume 2, but I just sort of wanted to do a quick flip through of this. If you're probably aware of this, you probably already backed this, but maybe you're not, and I just think it's a really neat game out there. It's, I think, volume 2, 1 in any, which is, good for Rob. Victor Gorchev, friend of the channel, co-host on Natural Ones. He also won an Emmy because he wrote for an adventure, I think in volume 2, that was the one that won an Emmy. So, I mean, this is a very massive, big, ambitious project. Has great art, great layout. I think good design, good adventure design. It feels thoroughly old school to me as I read it. And I'm not just saying all this stuff because I worked on that. I've worked on some projects that that I'm not too thrilled with. I got a paycheck, but at the end of the day, I'd say like, yeah, that wasn't not the best product out there. But this is one that I think I actually am proud that I have my name in it, that I worked on and helped to make happen in some small way, right? And I appreciate Rob and his work, his genuineness and his generosity. So go check out Gods of the Forbidden North. I'll have a link to his website and where you can get this on DriveThruRPG down below if you want to check that out. Again, you can get the print-on-demand version. I'm not sure if he has any of these nice versions left of the offset print. I'm sure you can check on his website if he does. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, share the video. And if you want to support the channel monetarily, you can do so right here on YouTube or on Patreon. Join the Discord server that I have set up. I have a link to that below as well. Join up and, get involved in the conversations that we're having there on the Discord server. It's a really cool place. We transferred over from Gilded to here on Discord because Gilded is shutting down. And it's crazy because I was worried, like, man, I'm going to have to rebuild my, this community that I've built for like the last 3, 4, or 5 years, I think, on Gilded. And I think like over the last three years or so, I'm going to have to rebuild this community that, was really special to me. And we worked really hard to make a cool place. And it's just grown so fast. And actually, I actually really appreciate the culture that's now here at the new server, at the Discord server, even over the old Gilded server. I think that there's a good mix of people there, and good mix of ideas, and not an echo chamber. Lots of good discussion happening. So make sure you check that out. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Check out Gods of the Forbidden North, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.